Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham. Now previous videos I have completed allowances. Before this I have explained you that according to the provisions of Income Tax Act there are 5 heads of income. Income from salary, income from house property, profits and gains of business and profession, capital gain and income from other sources. So already I have explained you about allowances and problems we have done on allowances. Now in this video, perquisites. What is the meaning of the term perquisites? What are the different types of perquisites? What are the provisions regarding taxability of perquisites? That I am going to explain in this video. So theory is very important. Don't ignore the theory. And there is no difference between the provisions regarding perquisites in the last assessment year and this assessment year. 22-23 and 23-24, the provisions are same. So you can rely on the videos which I have uploaded last year, 23-24. So if it is written on the board assessment year 23-24, just ignore it because the provisions are same. The perquisites are the benefit which is given by the employer to employee or their family members. So any benefit, whether in cash or in kind. So any benefit, whether given in cash or kind by employer to employee or their family members is called perquisite. So Income Tax Act says we have to calculate the value of the perquisite and it is taxable. Right? Many perquisites are there like rent-free accommodation, concession in the matter of rent, motor vehicle given, insurance premium of the employee paid by the employer, monetary obligations of the employee paid by the employer. Similarly, free meals given, medical facilities given, or credit card given. So many benefits are there which are given by employer to employee. Income Tax Act says we have to calculate the value of those perquisites according to the provisions of Income Tax Act, and it is taxable. So in detail I have explained you in the video, so watch the video till the end, don't skip in between. In the previous videos I have explained you according to Income Tax Act the components of salary income are 4. First one, basic salary, then second one, allowances, third one, perquisites, and fourth one, profit in lieu of salary. The total of these 4 is called gross income from salary. From gross income from salary, deductions are given under section 16. Then we will get income from salary. That is the procedure. So first we have seen what are the items that will come under salary. Second, we have seen what are the items that will come under allowances. Now what are perquisites? What are the different categories of perquisites? How to value the perquisites? Now I am going to explain. Remember, in examination they may ask you a theory question also regarding the meaning of perquisites and what are the different types of perquisite and how to value the rent-free accommodation, etc. So this video is very important for those students appearing for income tax examination. Don't focus only on problems. Theory is equally important. So if you have not watched the earlier video, I suggest you go to the playlist of my channel, select the subject income tax for the assessment year 22-23. Watch the videos regarding allowances and salaries. All those videos I have already completed. Even problems I have done on allowances. Now, before starting the topic of perquisites, take the screenshot of the points which I have written on the board. Then I'll explain every point in detail. Now, first of all, the meaning of the term perquisites. Perquisites are any kind of benefit which is given by the employer to the employees or their family members, either in cash or in kind. See, what is the difference between allowance and perquisite? The allowance are the fixed monetary amount given along with salary for some specific purpose, like dearness allowance, house rent allowance, entertainment allowance, children education allowance. All these are the different types of allowances that is monetary. But here perquisites may be monetary or may be non-monetary. So this benefit is given by the employer to the employee or their family members also. The benefit may be given either to employee or family members. Example, a car is provided by the employer to the employee for personal use. A house is given by the employer to employees for using without paying any rent. These are the benefits which are given by employer to employees. So here, and remember, perquisites are also equally taxable. If it is fully taxable, then tax will be applied even on perquisites by calculating the value according to provisions of Income Tax Act. Now, perquisite means any kind of benefit provided by employer to employee, either in cash or in kind, either to employee or the family members. Family member, what do you mean by family member? Income Tax Act has given spouse, children and their spouses, parents, dependents or servants. These are the, people who come under family member. Now, friends and guests cannot be treated as family members. Income Tax Act specifically said that friends will not be a part of family, and even guests are also not a part of family. Now, perquisites are included in salary income only when they are received by the employer from present, former or prospective employer. That means the perquisites, it is taxable under the head salary only if it is received from the present employer or past employer or the prospective future employer. So that means if perquisite or benefit is received from any other person, it is not taxable under income from salary. It may be taxable under income from other sources. So condition, it must be received from the employer. The employer must authorize the benefit of the perquisite. One more condition Income Tax Act says, the perquisite should be authorized, should be given by the employer to the authorized. If unauthorizedly the employee is using the benefit, it is not taxable. It is not taxable in the hands of the employee. For example, a car is not provided by the employer to the employee, but unauthorizedly the car is being used by the employee without permission. Then the value of the perquisite that will not be added in income from salary. It is not taxable. Next one, the perquisite and fringe benefits can be classified under three heads. So for our understanding, we can classify the perquisites and fringe benefits into three categories. The first category, the perquisite and fringe benefits which are taxable for all employees. Every employee, whoever gets the benefit, perquisite, it is taxable. First category. Second category, perquisites which are taxable only in specified employees. That means we have to check. If the employee is a specified employee, then only this perquisite will be taxable. Otherwise, not. Third one, tax-free perquisites and fringe benefits. Some perquisites are there which Income Tax Act specifically says completely tax-free. No tax will be applied. So in examination, you may get a theory question like, give some 10 examples of perquisites which are completely tax-free. So I am going to explain you all the tax-free perquisites in the coming video. Now, first of all, we'll discuss about those perquisites which are fully taxable for all employees. First category. The most common benefit is the rent-free accommodation. Rent-free accommodation means any house or flat given by the employer to the employee or the family members free of rent. The employer is not charging any rent free, it is given to the employee. That's a benefit. Because if the employee has taken a house on rent, he would have to pay the rent. Now he is not paying the rent. Freely he is utilizing the house or flat given by the employer. It is called rent-free accommodation. It is fully taxable for all the employees, no restriction, everyone. Then concession in rent of accommodation. Sometimes the employer will not give rent-free accommodation, but employer will charge the rent at a concession. For example, in a particular city, the rental value of the flat is, let it be 40,000. Per month, 40,000 is the rental value of that flat, but employer is charging only 5,000. the employer is charging from the employee only 5,000 per month, whereas the actual rental value is 40,000. That means the employee is getting at a concession in rent. That is also a perquisite benefit. It is taxable. Thirdly, insurance premium paid by the employer on the life policy of the employee or family members. Sometimes the life insurance policy may be taken by the employee or the family members, but the premium, insurance premium, is paid by the employer. It is fully taxable in the hands of all employees. Next, personal monetary obligation of the employee met by the employer. Some personal obligations are there, like for example club bills are there, electricity bill is there of the employee, paid by the employer. According to the agreement, the employer says whatever electricity bill or gas bill in your residence, we will pay the bill. So all the electricity bill and gas bill of the employee is paid by the employer. It is called monetary obligation of the employee, paid by the employer, fully taxable. Next one, interest-free loan or concession in the interest. Sometimes, if a loan is taken by the employee from bank or any other source, the employee has to pay interest on loan. But the employer is providing the loan to the employee without charging any interest. That means it's a benefit to the employee. Income Tax Act says it will be taxable perquisite. Concession in the interest. Suppose sometimes if the person has taken a loan from bank, the banker will charge interest at 15%. The 15% interest has to be paid if the loan is taken from bank. But the same loan will be provided by the employer at only 5% interest. This is called concession in the interest rate. That is also a benefit to the employee. It is taxable perquisite. The next one is holiday facilities. Some holiday facilities are given by the employer to the employee. The employee are enjoying the holiday facilities. Taxable perquisite. Free meals and food, medical facilities, gifts, credit cards, club membership, use of mobile property assets and transfer of mobile assets. So these are few examples of those perquisites which are taxable in the hands of every employee. Every employee. In examination, you may get a theory question, short question like this. Give some 5 examples of those perquisites which are fully taxable in the hands of all employees. So remember these 13 items I have given. At least 5 you have to write in examination. That's it. Now, valuation of perquisite. When the perquisite is given in kind, then it has to be valued. For example, rent-free accommodation is given by the employer to the employee. Then what is the value of that rent-free accommodation? Income Tax Act has given the provisions regarding how to value the perquisite. But if in certain circumstances, if it is not specified by Income Tax Act, then we have to find out the fair value, fair market value of that benefit, and that will be the value of the perquisite. Next comes rent-free accommodation. Among all these perquisites which are fully taxable, the most important is rent-free accommodation. So now in this video I am going to explain you about how to value the rent-free accommodation, and in the problems also very frequently this item is going to come. So remember, this is very important. And whenever you watch the video, I suggest you keep a notebook, pen, calculator ready and note it down immediately. Whenever I say something, write it down, otherwise you'll forget it. There is no use simply watching the video and listening the lecture. That will not make any much difference. You will get the complete command only when you write, maintain the notes. Now, rent-free accommodation. Sometimes the employer will give to the employee a house or flat free of rent. The property belongs to company, but the employee is using for their accommodation. It is called rent-free accommodation. Without charging any rent, it is a perquisite taxable to all employees. For valuation of perquisite, the accommodation is of 2 types. Income Tax Act says. For calculating the value of the perquisite, the accommodation will be divided into 2 categories. Furnished accommodation and unfurnished accommodation. Furnished accommodation means in the house all basic household appliances are already there. Example, refrigerator is there, air conditioner is there, other furniture is there. All other household appliances are already there in the house. The employee is using the house with the furniture. It is called furnished accommodation. Sometimes the employer give a house without any furniture. It is called unfurnished accommodation. So in this way, two types of accommodation. The term furniture includes furnished house. The term furnished includes furniture, television set, refrigerator, air conditioner, and any other household appliances. Now note, any accommodation, first of all, we have to calculate the value of unfurnished accommodation. Even if it is a furnished one, first of all, we have to calculate the value of unfurnished accommodation. After calculating the value of unfurnished accommodation, we have to add the cost of the furniture. Then we'll get the cost of furnished accommodation. Now, valuation of furniture is as follows. Now, how to calculate the value of furniture? Income Tax Act says, if the furniture is owned by the employer, then 10% of original cost of the furniture. If the furniture is owned by the employer. If the furniture is hired by the employer and given to the employee, then whatever hire charges paid by the employer, those hire charges should be added to the value of unfurnished house. So in this way we can find out the value of furnished accommodation. Now for valuation of RFA, employees are divided. Now, how to calculate the value of RFA, rent-free accommodation? All the employees are divided into two categories, that is government employee and non-government employee. For government employee, the valuation is very simple. The rent fixed by the government is the value of the perquisite. No calculations, nothing. So in the problem, first you have to see whether government employee is there or non-government. If government employee is there, take the rent fixed by the government as the value of accommodation. No need of any calculations, nothing. Rent fixed by the government is the value of the perquisite. Now for other employees, other than government employees, then the accommodation provided by the employer may be own accommodation or rented or hired accommodation. For other employees, other than government, there are two situations. First situation, the accommodation is owned by the employer. Second situation, the accommodation is rented or hired by the employer and given it to the employee. So we have to see the problem. What is the accommodation, whether it is owned or hired. Now, when accommodation is owned by the employer, first case, if in the problem it is given that the accommodation is owned by the company, owned by the employer, then we have to see the population in which the accommodation is provided. So it depends. The value of perquisite depends on the population of the city in which the accommodation is given. Suppose the population not exceeding 10 lakh. The accommodation given in a small town where the population does not exceed 10 lakh people. In that case, the value of the perquisite is 7.5% of salary. Now you have to remember these provisions, very important. Small town, population less than 10 lakh, then 7.5% salary is the value of the perquisite. If the population is exceeding 10 lakh or more than 10 lakh, but up to not exceeding 25 lakh. 10 lakh or more than 10 lakh, but up to 25 lakh. Then 10% of salary is the value of the perquisite. Exceeding 25 lakh, if it's a big city, metropolitan city, in that case the population is more than 25 lakh people. In that case, 15% of salary is the value of the perquisite. Three rates you have to remember. 7.5% of salary, 10% of salary, 15% of salary. 7.5% of salary will be applied when the population is below 10 lakh. 10% of salary will be applied when the population is 10 lakh or more up to 25 lakh. Then 15% of salary will be applied if the population of the city is more than 25 lakh. That's all. Now when accommodation is hired by the employer, sometimes the accommodation is not owned but hired by the employer. then irrespective of the city, the perquisite will be least of the following two. Least of the following two. First, actual rent paid by the company to the owner, landlord. That means the company has taken a flat from the landlord and paying the monthly rent of 30,000 per month, 30,000. The monthly 30,000 rupees employer is paying to the landlord by taking the flat on rent, and that flat is given to the employee for rent-free accommodation. In that case, the rent paid by the employer to the landlord is 30,000, or second one is 15% of salary. Employee's salary we calculate and 15% of salary. Whichever is least of these two, that is the value of the perquisite. If the accommodation is hired or rented by the company. Now, furnished accommodation. Just now I told you, if the house is furnished one, then first we need to calculate the value of unfurnished accommodation. To that you add 10% of cost of furniture if it is owned by the employer, or the hire charges of furniture paid by the employer, whatever is the case. That if you add, we'll get the value of furnished accommodation. Now, the main important is salary. So in every situation, the meaning of the term salary will change. Here see, 7.5% of salary, 10% of salary, 15% of salary, like that. So you must know what do you mean by salary. So Income Tax Act has given the meaning of the term salary for RFA purpose, for rent-free accommodation purpose. Remember in the previous video I have explained you for allowances, for entertainment allowance. For entertainment allowance, salary means only basic, nothing else. For calculating HRA, house rent allowance, salary means basic pay only. DA will be included if it enters for retirement benefit, and commission if it is based on fixed percentage on turnover. These three items are there for salary in HRA. But in RFA, rent-free accommodation, salary means basic plus bonus plus fees plus commission plus all taxable allowances except DA. DA will be included only if it enters for retirement benefit. Any monetary payment made by the employer, or income tax or professional tax paid or reimbursed by the employer. This is very, very important. It is not sufficient only if you remember these provisions, because these provisions require salary. And you must know salary means basic plus bonus plus fees plus commission plus all taxable allowances except DA. DA will be included only if it enters for retirement benefit, plus any monetary benefit paid by the employer, or income tax or professional tax paid or reimbursed by the employer. That's all. This is the meaning of the salary. Now lastly, when accommodation is provided in a hotel, sometimes the company, the employer has given the accommodation to the employee in a hotel, then it's a taxable perquisite. The value of the perquisite is list of the following two: 24% of salary or actual charges paid to the hotel. Suppose the company has sent one of the employee to a particular different place. There the employee is staying in a hotel. So he's getting the advantage because he's not paying anything, he's staying in a hotel. So Income Tax Act says it's a taxable perquisite. 24% of salary or the hotel bill paid by the company. Whichever is least is the value of the perquisite. But in some situation, it will become a tax-free perquisite. In some situations. What are the conditions in which the accommodation given in hotel is tax-free? So three conditions are given. If the accommodation is provided in a hotel on the transfer of the employee from one place to another place. First condition. If the accommodation is given in a hotel on transfer of the employee from one place to another place. Example, the place of business is in Hyderabad. Suppose for a particular purpose, the person is transferred from Hyderabad to Bangalore. So in that case, he is staying in a hotel in Bangalore. So he was placed in Bangalore only for the purpose of transfer from one place to another place. Secondly, such accommodation is provided for less than 15 days. Second condition, if the accommodation in hotel is given for less than 15 days, then only it will be tax free. Lastly, such hotel is hired and not owned by the employer. The hotel should not be owned by the company. The hotel should be hired, right? So hotel bill is being paid by the company. If these three conditions are satisfied, then the value of the perquisite will be nil if accommodation is given in a hotel. Otherwise, it is taxable 24% of salary or higher charges or hotel bill paid by the company to the hotel. That's it. So in this video, I have explained you the meaning of the term perquisite and what are the different categories of perquisite. Three categories: perquisite taxable to all employees, perquisite taxable to specified employees, and tax-free perquisite. And what are the items that will come? What are the perquisite that will come under taxable to all employees? 13 examples are given. And then I have given you the provisions regarding how to calculate RFA, rent-free accommodation. Still, many more perquisites I have to explain. After getting all this knowledge, then only you should go for problems. Otherwise, you cannot understand the problems. So if you are satisfied, give a like to the video. Share my channel among your friends, among your groups, so that more students can watch the video and enhance the knowledge. Give your comments. Subscribe my channel if you have not yet subscribed, and buy the super thanks which is given below my video. Inshallah, we will continue the next topic in the next video.